Hey everyone, I'm Basil for All Things Mobile, and today I've got a review of a Samsung Galaxy Note 3 in white. So let's get started. We've got the Galaxy Note 3. It is Samsung's latest device in the Note series, and it's kind of an interesting device. So starting from the back here, 13 megapixel camera, that's pretty new, but it also records in 4K video. Very interesting feature there. Samsung branding, and the back has changed, so you've been hearing a lot of reviewers rant about the plastic back. Well, Samsung's decided to change it up a little bit. It's not going to translate well on camera, especially on the white model, but this is kind of a textured, it's not real leather, it's faux leather, so it's a plastic type thing. But it does have ribs, as well as like it's got a textured feel, and it has this sewn on design look, which completes the entire leather look. So looks pretty cool. LED flash obviously is there. At the bottom here, you've got the S Pen holder, speaker, USB 3.0 port, which is also compatible with regular 2.0 USB ports, and your primary microphone right there. Up on the left hand side is one of my complaints on this device. It is the volume rocker. Now it's a one-piece volume rocker, but that's not my biggest complaint. My biggest complaint is that you can't really tell. There's really no tactile feedback. There is tactile feedback, but there is no differentiating feedback between the up and down button, as well as the button's not that big. So I think that could use a little bit of improvement, but it's a minor thing. Up top, you've got the 3.5mm headset jack, a secondary microphone, so the noise cancellation one, and an IR blaster, which works really well. I've tested that out here, and the block on off button in the back. Let me just open this up. We have a fairly large battery, and our battery here is actually 3200 milliamp hours, and we've got the micro SIM and the micro SD card that sits in there. So let's take a quick look at the software and how this device is. So 5.7 inch display, Super AMOLED. You do get that oversaturation. So that's just the thing with these AMOLED displays. Plus the OEMs do add a little bit of tuning to the displays, and they like the saturation because it makes colors more vibrant, pops out a little bit more. Performance wise, this is a very snappy device. You've got on board a Snapdragon 800 CPU with 3 GB of RAM. That's quad core 2.3 GHz. So, and the screen is 1080p. So that's a beast of a device, actually, even in terms of Android devices. So it's a very powerful device, and I was surprised that the battery life doesn't actually suffer due to the increased hardware. Battery life is actually pretty good. If you're a moderate user, if you're using the phone, making phone calls, sending text messages, using an IM client or Facebook, Twitter, and you're checking your news feeds and websites and whatnot, you're gonna get a lot of battery life out of this device. Now, if you're a heavy user, you're probably gonna run off. You're probably gonna run out of juice at the end of the day. So you might want to keep a spare battery. But I found that in my personal testing, if you're in a fairly good reception area, I've had LTE on the whole time as well. And right now I'm on Wi-Fi, but at home here, I'm on Wi-Fi. Outside, usually I'm on LTE, and batteries lasted a day, so it works well for me. No problems there on that front. If we go to the dialer, we see a nice big dialer. It's very similar. It's all Android through and through. So a lot of this stuff is very repetitive from pretty much Android 4.0 and up, really. So I'm not gonna type any numbers in because that'll populate the number list there. But you can switch this off to one-handed dial in. You can switch where that goes. So that's that. Calls work well. Sound pretty good. It does feature HD voice, but however, when I tried to call the Note 3 from my Z10, I didn't see the HD voice logo on the Z10, but when I was calling an iPhone 5 user, it worked. So maybe it's just a network thing. These guys are on different networks, so that might be it. Speaking of networks, we do have all of our preloaded Rogers applications, as this is a Rogers device. The only one we're missing here is Rogers Smart Home Monitoring, which you can just get from Google Play anyway. So that's that. Let's take a quick look at the messaging. Now, I was composing a message earlier, but we will get out of that. We'll compose a new message. So the default keyboard, I really don't like this default keyboard, and here's the reason why. The reason why is you have all this screen real estate, but when you take a look at the keys are fairly small and they're spaced out. Now, the spaced out part does help, and it helps with accuracy, but the problem is the keys could be bigger. Now, for me, I'm still fairly decent at typing on this keyboard because of the word prediction. So if I type in, this is a test, oops, and if I do a little period and say, the quick brown fox jumps over the, so one little error there, but easy enough to fix. I personally do prefer the SwiftKey keyboard. So, and that one has nice prediction, so we can do this test again. So let's write, John went to the store to buy a Galaxy Note 3. So again, very nice. As well as with SwiftKey, you've got the that nice little addition of swipe-like interface. So that's messaging. Works pretty well. And the theme here is the black theme. So on AMOLED screens, that does actually save battery life. So that's one thing that we can be aware of. Let's go to the web browser. We're on CVC. This is the default web browser, but you also do get Chrome on board. So we'll take a look at this. Now, thanks to the 1080p screen, these images are all very, very sharp. I can actually read the text off of here, but if you don't want to, you can obviously zoom in, zoom out. Let's click a link, or tap a link rather. And we're on Wi-Fi, so it's going to be pretty speedy anyways, but there you have it. Pages loaded, and we can zoom in, zoom out. It's very responsive. Rotation works very well too. So browsers work great. I find that the default regular browser they call Internet works a little better than Chrome, but don't get me wrong, Chrome's working pretty well as well. It's just it randomly glitches and freezes up a little bit. I don't think that's the phone itself, because the regular Internet application does not do that. It seems to be fairly solid, but take it for what you will, right? Let's go into the camera application. And we've got a 13 megapixel camera, so we've got our trusty BlackBerry Z10, and we will load up our camera. So 13 megapixel camera, focus, stop the photo, and you're done. So there's a lot of different modes here. I'm not going to really get into all of them just because there are way too many. If I go into the if you go into the mode button here, you've got a whole bunch of different modes. Auto, which is probably the one that you're gonna have it on most. Sports, surround, panorama, eraser, ridgetone, golf, animated photo, drama, sound and shot, best face, best photo, beauty face, and it just goes on. And there's some like golf I missed. So here's a full list of all of them. You can go through them here. It does have a different it has different software for these image stabilization. So while this is very reminiscent of the Galaxy S4, it's got one little additional feature, which is that different stabilization. So that's probably going to work out a little bit better. Also, this does record video in 4K. So it's a 1080p camera, records in 4K, and the front camera here is a 2 megapixel camera, also records in HD for those nice HD Skype calls. Other applications on the device, so third-party ones, I've loaded up Facebook and Twitter, so we'll see how these run, and they run fairly well. So nothing really too spectacular. They run as expected. We'll load up Twitter. Here's my Twitter timeline. We will go in, go out. You can compose a tweet, so works pretty well. And that's the thing I found with this device, that it's generally a very snappy device. It's a very fast phone. It doesn't really get bogged down by too many applications or anything like that. It works really well, and that's due to the 3 gigabytes of RAM. That's also due to the power of the processor. So Very powerful phone. Now it doesn't actually get hot. That's the nice thing. It only does get warm when you're playing graphically intensive games on the device. With regular usage, it shouldn't get hot. Let's take a quick look at the status bar here, because there's something I want to actually show you guys here. It has all the regular icons here, but when we do the dual status bar view or the switch, you'll see there's some other neat options. So there's a ton of options here. You got all your AR gestures, you got NFC. This phone does also use LTE, so you've got that LTE capability. You know, you've got smart pause, smart scroll, and you can just press and hold anyone here and go into those settings. So a lot of sensors, a lot of sensory settings, a lot of neat stuff there. Let's take out the S Pen. Now I personally find the S Pen a little less comfortable than on the Note 2. Again, personal preference. You've also got the button on the S Pen right here. There's, I think, too much. There we go. You got the button there. And as you guys saw, this is something new. It's called Air Command. So we will actually press the button. Get that back up there. We've got Air Command. So it's probably the newest. It's probably one of the best enhancements of the Note 3. So you've got Action Round with Scrapbooker, Screen Write, S Finder, Pen Window. So, and for example, Action Memo works just like you would see it, a memo pad. But if we type, oops, didn't mean to do that. If we type Note, let's type Note 3, and let's transfer that into a Google search. Let's do a search there. We'll use Chrome just so you guys can actually see what that looks like here. So Note 3 works fairly well, and I can scroll, I can use my finger, and that's that. So buttons here, the nice thing is it's actually reversible, so I can put the S Pen in that way, or if I fully reverse it 180 degrees, put it in that way. So that's very handy. The other thing I want to talk about is the new home screen. Now let's get this out of the way and cancel. New home screen. So if I just swipe up, I get what is known as My Magazine, which is basically being powered by Flipboard, I believe. So it does work pretty well, and I can go up and down. So if I see a story I like, let's say we'll go into this one here. Go into a story here. It's probably Global Mail. So Flipboard again here. We could also share the story via our other applications. So a whole bunch of options, and Wi-Fi Direct. So that's something nice. So this phone does also feature Wi-Fi Direct, DLNA, all that stuff. It's got the whole shebang there, and it's all around a great device. So and again, Android, but you have the TouchWiz overlay, which personally I feel like the TouchWiz overlay is getting a little bit heavier. On the S4 there was a little bit of noticeable lag here and there, and I don't really think that's the hardware. I believe that it's actually TouchWiz. Now on this device with the crazy insane specs, I really don't think you can actually count TouchWiz against it too much, because the phone can actually handle that. And I think that's about it, really. So Galaxy Note 3 right now, as of recording this video on Halloween, so October 31st, it runs for $299 at our Canadian carrier. So you've got Rogers, which this unit's from. You've also got Bell. I believe Tesla's also got it for $299. Again, holiday season's coming up soon. They may or may not drop the price. Who knows? But overall, if you are a Galaxy Note 2 user and you wanted a device that's more powerful, slightly larger screen, so 5.7 inches versus 5.5, the S Pen improvements, better hardware all around, and I think that it's got a better design personally, and the phone's a little bit narrower, so it does tend to fit in your hand a little bit better. If you like that kind of experience and you're happy with the Note series and you want to stay with Samsung, I think the Note 3 is a great device. It's a great buy, great screen, overall great specifications, and it's got Android 4.3 on board, so you really can't go wrong with the Note 3 if you are a Samsung lover and you do like the larger screen devices. I'm gonna stop talking now. I'm Faisal for All Things Mobile. I'll see you guys in the next video.